Coming up on Cronkite News, the annual point-in-time homelessness count takes place this year after being paused because of the pandemic. We'll have an inside look at the count and why it's so important.
Plus, remove and replant. How Salt River Project removes power line hazards while working to reduce the city's urban heat island effect.
And later on Break It Down, the sports stories that made headlines in 2021.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Kelly Donahue.
And I'm Atria Mineshny. Thank you for joining us. After COVID-19 forced a year-long hiatus of the point-in-time count of homelessness, it is finally back on. Cronkite News reporter Raven Payne joined the count coordinators as they surveyed people experiencing homelessness and tells us why this event is important to those communities.
When your home is on the street, it's easy to feel like you're seen.
It's not, it's not the worst.
But not counted.
Chronic fatigue, digestive. I have SIBO.
John O'Boyle fell into homelessness after an illness in college.
I had, they call chronic fatigue mononucleosis back in '86.
And 30 years later, he's still struggling.
It's a long time ago. And I haven't really recovered.
On this cold, dark morning, Boyle is one of thousands of people experiencing homelessness in Maricopa County who are seen and counted.
And how old are you?
54.
54, very nice.
Volunteers hit city streets counting and surveying people experiencing unsheltered homelessness to gather data. This data helps tell a story about individuals.
If we're able to use the point-in-time count to show that homelessness currently exists in the area and we're seeing an increase in it, it helps tell the story for why, increased resources and shelter is important.
According to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, the count revealed close to 11,000 people were experiencing homelessness in Arizona in 2020. Based on these numbers, the state was able to receive more than $46 million toward programs like transitional housing just across the way. Volunteers weren't out counting last year because of the pandemic, but Elizabeth DaCosta says there was a silver lining.
As far as it relates to homelessness services, COVID-19 shed a spotlight on the public health crisis that is homelessness, right? That people, while we were all kind of staying at home, there were people out there that had no place to go. They were surviving on the streets and had nowhere to go. So because of that, we got a lot more resources coming into our community.
Resources like transitional housing, which can be challenging to get.
I've tried to get housing, I've tried to get places to stay, but I don't know, it just doesn't work,
Despite the hardships, O'Boyle chooses to look forward.
No, I have no regrets though. Being homeless is it's not for everyone, obviously. Some people experience, temporary. Mine's been pretty chronic. Mine's been more than half my life, so.
Now armed with new information from this year's effort, there will be help for O'Boyle and thousands of others who are now seen and counted. In Phoenix, Raven Payne, Cronkite News.
The Maricopa Association of Governments says the point-in-time count preliminary numbers will be available by the end of February, and the final will be available in mid-spring.
Governor Doug Ducey expects rising housing prices in Arizona to level out over time. The latest National Home Price Index showed Phoenix had a 32.2% increase in home prices in November. It was the highest year-over-year gain among 20 cities. Ducey says Arizona is making the proper investments to combat the housing shortage and demand. He believes working with federal programs and affordable housing acts will resolve the issue over time. He hopes to address the problem by building more supply and more affordable apartments across the state.
Despite a surge in COVID-19 infections caused by the Omicron variant, the country's economy appears to be improving. Employers across America added 467,000 new jobs last month. This comes after the government expected only a slight increase in new jobs. The government also increased its estimates for job increases during November and December by more than 700,000. But they're saying the unemployment rate had a slight uptick from 3.9% to 4%, which they say is because more people started to look for work without immediately getting hired.
A new subvariant of the Omicron variant is spreading rapidly in some parts of the world. Known as the stealth variant, experts say variant BA2 is armed with a higher transmission potential. The variant is beginning to replace the Omicron strain in many countries. Denmark recorded more than 50,000 infections in one day last week. In the U.S., more than 300 cases have been identified in more than half of the states. Although the World Health Organization does not yet consider BA.2 to be a variant of concern, they're still continuing to monitor its spread.
Trees growing into power lines can be a safety issue. Up next, we'll show you how SRP works to remove those trees while still keeping the city cooler.
And a massive winter storm continues to bear down on the East Coast. We'll let you know when the storm is expected to let up.
Take a journey with Arizona PBS. Join us every Sunday afternoon for Destination Drama. Watch all your favorite PBS dramas like Grantchester.
I'm William Davenport, new vicar of Grantchester.
Poldark.
Nothing in my life has meaning without you.
And Victoria.
I know that I'm young, but I know my duty.
And if you missed a recent primetime drama, we'll help you catch up on those too. Destination Drama. Every Sunday afternoon at 1. Only on Arizona PBS.
The Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communications Phoenix Sports Bureau provides students with hands-on learning experiences and opportunities in sports journalism. From covering local high schools, colleges, and the pros, students get the opportunity to go live from our Facebook shows covering local, collegiate, and pro sports in the Valley. From digital reporting, broadcast, social media, and producing, there's opportunities for all. For more, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
We all know trees are a precious resource to the Valley, providing shade and helping to clean the air. Peyton Major tells us about a program that is working to get rid of some safety hazards and bring more green to our cities.
The city of Peoria is about to look greener. Salt River Project began planting trees this week as part of their Right Tree, Right Place program.
Our mission was to remove trees that were encroaching on SRP's overhead power lines. For every tree we removed, we replanted with either 3 24-inch box trees or 6 15-gallon trees.
Professional arborists dig in to plant 50 trees in Peoria's Pioneer Community Park. Peoria City arborist Ryan McCartney says they have lost some trees here in the past.
And these trees will be placed in areas that will help reduce that urban heat island effect, cool the pavement, a place for people to recreate, sit underneath the trees in the shade, and enjoy the park and the amenities that it has to offer.
For 6 years, the program's employees have planted native trees across Arizona. And by April, Peoria will have 500 new trees in parks and community spaces.
We were planting trees much like the one behind me here. This is recently planted today. This is a red push pistache.
The planting process includes hand digging a large hole, which creates better airflow than mechanical tools.
We use stakes on the tree. Stakes are not necessary if the tree can stand by itself, but if the tree is taller like this one, it's in a park setting where people might pull on it, it's a good idea to put stakes to help give it support for the first about year of its life.
And with a good start, the hope is these trees will prosper for years to come. In Peoria, Peyton Major, Cronkite News.
6 trees removed in the coming weeks. However, Salt River Project is working with GrowWell to create mulch out of the green waste.
The powerful winter storm that devastated parts of the eastern and southern U.S. is now headed for the Northeast. The storm has already left about 350,000 businesses and homes without power. More than 85 million people have been placed under weather advisories or watches. The powerful storm first started on Tuesday and brought icy conditions to areas as far west as New Mexico. It caused a tornado in Alabama and more than a foot of snow to fall in certain areas of the Midwest. The storm is expected to move out late Friday and into Saturday. Although it has been a chilly couple of days, thankfully we won't be seeing that kind of weather here in the valley. Luke Vickery is in our weather center to let us know when we can expect a warm-up.
Good evening, Arizona. Looking at the Friday Futurecast here at 2 p.m. Like you said, we do have a big snowstorm, a big nor'easter, as moisture from the Gulf of Mexico actually got lifted all the way up to the New York-Boston area, where you see that little pink shade right there. That's actually a lot of heavy snow and ice, so not a good start to the weekend for the New York-Boston area. But lucky for us here in Phoenix, very stable conditions, looking very nice for us going into the weekend. So the big picture, low and high pressure centered across the Pacific. And as we move into the weekend, that low pressure is actually going to move south of us, high pressure up to the northwest. Force bringing breezy conditions through the valley. But as we look towards next weekend, that low pressure is actually going to move out, bringing much more stable conditions to us following next week. 61 degrees at 6 p.m. tonight. And as we move later into the evening, we're going to hit 50 degrees at 10 p.m. So if you are going out with your friends tonight, I would recommend wearing a jacket or something to keep you much more comfortable in those colder conditions. As we wake up, the colder conditions are going to stick around. 41 degrees in Phoenix, 20 degrees up towards Flagstaff, and as we look down towards Tucson, 34 degrees. That jet stream is really bringing in some of that colder air, but not too much though. As we move into the weekend, 73 degrees, but as we move into next week, that high pressure is going to take over, and we're going to hit a high of 80 degrees for next week. In the Cronkite News Weather Center, I'm Luke Vickery.
I'm Hayden Weber. Coming up, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report. Super Bowl 56 comes to Los Angeles a week from Sunday. After the break, we'll give you a sneak peek at SoFi Stadium.
It's prime time on your time. Watch Prime Afternoons every weekday on Arizona PBS. Did you miss a show in the evening? Then catch up on Prime Afternoons. Your favorite dramas.
No more bloody heroics.
Antiques Roadshow.
Really?
Nature and Nova.
It's time to reintroduce some wonder into this miracle of nature.
All of the best from PBS on Prime Afternoons. Weekdays starting at 1:30, only on Arizona PBS.
Every day I wake up, my first thought is, how can I serve this community?
The biggest hurdle was not taking PTSD personally.
Would you welcome, please, the amazing.
Everybody that watches this, they say that I am the greatest that they've ever seen.
Here we go, lights up. Whoa.
As artists, we conduct our educations in public. You can never know whether it's going to be a success. One just has to risk it.
It's you and the work and the place. It's a very particular relationship.
Here's our lens. Tell us what you think.
Friday night at 9 on Arizona PBS.
Welcome back to Cronkite News. I'm Hayden Weber, and this is your Cronkite Sports Report. As we inch closer to the kickoff of Super Bowl 56, the country's eyes are turning to a new stadium in Inglewood that will host the event. Cronkite News reporter Joey Vaca in our Los Angeles bureau spoke to locals to find out how the host city is preparing for the biggest game of the year.
Just 11 miles from the heart of downtown Los Angeles lies Inglewood, California, home to SoFi Stadium and Super Bowl 56. And while hip-hop has immortalized Inglewood as being always up to no good, Inglewood Mayor James Butts feels hosting the Super Bowl shows all is good.
This is just another one of those things that brands the city as the new Inglewood, but with the same people, and that's what we're most proud of.
Inglewood is no stranger to major events. The Great Western Forum here was famously home to the Showtime Lakers. But Sunday's spectacle at SoFi will still pose a test.
We've been planning for 4 months, and it's going to be one of the biggest public safety endeavors, but we're proud to do it, and we're definitely up to the challenge.
City officials aren't the only ones gearing up. Local small business owners are prepping, hiring temporary staff.
And I told all my crew, look, there's no days off from February, I think I said February 5th to February 17th or something. I said, nobody's taking a day. It was 2 weeks that we're all working.
According to the Super Bowl Host Committee's Economic Impact Report, the city could see economic gains of $23 to $52 million as a result. But for locals here, it's about more than just dollars and cents. The Super Bowl is just the first of many events coming through SoFi Stadium these next few years, like the opening and closing ceremonies of the 2028 Olympics. And navigating their impacts won't always be easy.
Logistically, as a business, things that come in that we're going to be able to get better. We do have, other events coming. We have national championships. We have Olympics coming in a few years. So we're going to learn from it.
But for leaders here, opportunities to host events like the Super Bowl are seen as more steps in a good direction.
So when you look at a city and you see that you're hitting all the right notes as it relates to creating a society, then you're more likely to want to be there and be part of it.
In Inglewood, Joey Vaca, Cronkite News.
There has been no official announcement from ASU on the status of football coach Herm Edwards. Cronkite News can confirm that the football team held a closed-door meeting yesterday morning. According to Sports Illustrated and ESPN, athletic director Ray Anderson told the team Edwards was staying on as head coach during that meeting. Edwards' job status was trending on social media this week after 5 coaches left the program, including defensive coordinator Antonio Pierce. The NCAA is investigating Sun Devil football for alleged recruiting violations. A couple of other notes for you. The Mercury signed another big-time player, WNBA reigning top scorer Tina Charles. In men's basketball, ASU falls to USC at home, while 7th-ranked Arizona tops 3rd-ranked UCLA. That's all for today's Cronkite Sports Report. Back to you, Kelly and Atria.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.